That's interesting.
So, what would you like to discuss?
Oh, I just was hoping to get an update from you guys, really.
Okay, as far as
What's going on?
with what particular?
My complaints or cases.
Okay, so the information that I got was that you had a complaint regarding Officer Montgomery.
Okay.
That complaint was sent to the division on the 12th of November.
Okay.
For them to investigate and review.
So it's sent to your division, Internal Affairs?
No, it was sent to the Sand Creek division.
Yeah, so they're internally investigating?
They are going to do
Velasquez?
a personnel investigation.
And that was when?
On the 12th of November.
November 12th. Essentially, you're saying my complaint was accepted?
All complaints are accepted, but yes. Did you receive an email from Internal Affairs? I'm not sure if you gave an email address or not.
I've emailed you guys and you've emailed back, but I haven't. I think I did receive one saying there was a case number.
Yeah, you should have gotten something that said that there was a case number for the complaint and that it was being sent to the Sand Creek division.
And that's it.
So the last person that looked at it was Commander Velasquez. Typically what will happen is he will assign it to a lieutenant who will assign it to a sergeant for review.
I believe it's already been assigned to another commander. So this other sergeant is in the Sand Creek, or?
Correct. Yeah, it'll be up to Commander Velasquez to assign the staff that investigates it.
Okay, and there was a sergeant, I believe, already that I was supposed to speak with.
I think that you initially spoke with Sergeant Kipple.
Oh, Lieutenant Blackwell. So there's Sergeant Kipple and a Sergeant Freeman?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're both Sand Creek sergeants.
Yeah. And Kipple's, or Freeman's the one that told Montgomery to get his ticket back, and Kipple's the sergeant that implicated Freeman?
It sounds like, so I'm not 100%. Typically Internal Affairs wouldn't look at a complaint like this. It's the division. So it's our staff that intakes it, and then we send it out to the division to
So the division completely looks within itself, and that's...
So the chain of command will review based on their employees.
And I'm not a part of that, essentially?
What do you mean?
I'm not interrogated, investigated, or...
I mean, if the sergeant that eventually gets assigned this case needs to get additional information from you, then yeah, they'll reach out to you. All right. It hasn't reached that point though yet.
And what are your guys' involvement?
Internal Affairs?
Yeah.
Aside from intaking the complaint and sending out the resolution, we wouldn't have an investigation.
So you guys are just like an administrative office that does the paperwork,
kind of the tracking and management of complaints. Because we get a large number of them, the Internal Affairs investigators are really assigned to investigate.
No, it's interesting. I'm learning the review process here, and it's completely internal, yeah?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and that's zero accountability.
Well, I am not going to argue with you about that.
No,
That's
just,
the way that every
we're on the
police
same
department.
page, right?
That's the way that every police department works.
No.
Is that they have a internal unit that investigates.
No, and I'm just learning. So essentially, the internal unit is just the commander or the sergeant or the lieutenant at the department the complaint is sent to.
It depends on the nature of the complaint.
That's their job, essentially, is CYA of their employees.
I mean, their job is to investigate misconduct.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll say tomato, yeah. All right.
So I don't have specific information to give you because
I would have to deal with them, but they are refusing to deal with I. So at this point, it's my understanding that I just talked to
Commander Velasquez.
No. Who's the three above the commander?
Deputy chiefs.
No, we're getting there, huh?
The commander is the head of his division.
Right. But essentially there's
3 deputy chiefs above the commanders.
Yeah.
And then there's the chief.
Yeah. So I gotta get, if they're not seeing me at Sand Creek and they're refusing to talk to me and hanging up on me at this point, then that's the next level of complaint.
You could potentially go
federal.
Up to them.
Yeah, and then so I just need to press charges if I want to press charges against the officer.
That's well within your right to speak to an attorney to do that.
No. And I've spoken to plenty of attorneys and they're willing to take my money, but I am here to see if you guys have any alternatives. But apparently you are not the person to speak to, or you don't have that kind of power.
Yeah, we would not reinvestigate something that's already being looked at. The chain of command, they assign these cases to be investigated as they come in.
Yes. So what's the process then in the internal review? So there's investigations
completed usually by a sergeant.
So
if the
maybe you
complaint's
break
on
it
an
down
officer.
for me here.
Mm-hmm.
When a complaint goes into the department,
mm-hmm.
it goes to a sergeant, Kipple, or
it initially comes
Freeman.
to IA just for tracking purposes.
So initially it goes to IA.
Yeah. And it may not be Kipple or Freeman that ends up looking at this.
Well, I got a lieutenant, and I got Velasquez at this point, right? Lieutenant Blackwell. And Commander Velasquez. And so it goes to somebody.
So Velasquez will determine what chain of command he wants to look at it, starting with a sergeant.
And then from there, there will be interviews, videos,
potentially.
Internal review, potential, but they don't have to.
It depends on the nature of the complaint. So in your case, it sounds like there were some issues with the ticket that was served.
Yeah.
And so the sergeant that's reviewing that would probably look at body-worn camera. They would review the case report. They would figure out, was this something that was within policy or not within policy? And then they would summarize that and send their recommendation up the chain of command.
And then what if it, so they say...
And that could include interviewing you as well at that stage.
So if they decide it's in or out, it goes up the chain of command either way.
Yeah, the sergeant doesn't make any decisions. They just provide a recommendation.
And who's the chain of command above this?
The lieutenant would be the next person that looks at
Blackwell?
it. Not necessarily Blackwell, but a lieutenant. And then they would make their recommendation with the commander. And the commander ultimately
So Velasquez and Blackwell make the decision for their own department?
Only Velasquez.
Only Velasquez. So Velasquez
for his division.
is in charge.
Yes.
And if do they charge internally or deal, or is there reprimands if they find that they're...
Potentially. I mean, it depends on what's found. If there's a sustained violation of policy, then there might be discipline anywhere from verbal counseling all the way up to, suspension, demotion, that sort of thing.
Now what about...
But if they find that there's no violation of policy, then there obviously won't be any discipline.
And what about victim compensation or any kind of...
That would all be through your own attorney.
So I would have to sue for anything.
Yeah.
There's no kind of helping the victim in this case because the police are the suspects, essentially.
I mean, I can't really say it that way.
But that's the way it is.
We're not alleging a crime. So,
but if there is found to be
a policy complaint,
there's no victim. It's just a policy complaint, essentially, until charges are pressed.
I mean, there would be discipline potentially,
just like a reprimand from the office
on the officer.
Yeah,
that could have any variety,
like a suspension or slap on the wrist of some sort.
It could be anything within
that
a set amount of discipline that they're allowed to give.
What's the set amount of discipline that they're allowed to give?
I mean, anything from verbal counseling up to termination.
Verbal
But that only deals with a policy violation.
And and when will I know about this? How long does this investigation take?
So I can't answer that for you.
So there's no timeline at all?
It could take up to 90 days, most likely.
So up to 90 days?
Yeah.
And after 90 days?
You should have some sort of resolution.
And if I don't?
Then I would say just contact our office, and we'll see where it is.
So that's you guys. Contact.
There's obviously exceptions. It depends on who it gets assigned.
After 90 days.
But I would assume, based on your complaint, what I have read about it, you should see something within 90 days.
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah. And we typically send out a notice by email.
I don't want to, waste anybody's time or drag the city through the mud, but it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of alternatives for me, right?
Yeah, I mean...
Is there anybody I can talk to about alternatives?
There's no alternatives as to what? I'm trying to understand, like, what...
As to wrongdoing being compensated for, or any
so
kind of
anything like
compensation.
That, you're going to need to speak to an attorney.
No, yeah. And they seem pretty confident. I mean, it just seems like a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah, I don't have the authority to say anything about that.
Who does have the authority?
Our attorneys.
So, can I talk to your attorneys?
No.
I cannot. Who are your attorneys?
Yeah.
Who represents you?
Honestly, is the city attorney. I don't know what their names are.
Okay, so you're talking about the district attorney, the city attorney?
The attorney that represents the city, whoever that is.
So he would be the guy to speak to about not wasting his time.
I mean, he will probably only speak to another attorney.
No, yeah, I get that.
Or
I'm out the ass and retaining fees already.
A he or a she or who it is that would represent the city, but
like 3 or 4 retainer fees that I'm pretty sad about already, man.
I understand. Yeah, unfortunately, that's all outside of internal affairs is simply that. It's internal. It's administrative.
I'm seeing that. It's all internal. There's no legitimate process. You just have to be charged as criminals like anyone else.
If that's what you want to pursue, then that is within your right to do.
No, yeah, and I understand that, and I don't want to release any of my evidence. I mean, I don't want to embarrass the city, But
you got to do what you got to do.
That's what IA is telling me.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate it. And what was your name?
Sergeant Thurman.
Sergeant with the IA.
Yep.
All right, man.
Any other questions that I can try and answer for you?
I guess I'm gonna go talk to Slane Creek or somebody, huh? Yeah. No.
Yeah. I know that he got it on the 12th. It doesn't look like it's been assigned to anybody since that point. But I don't even know if he's here right now. He might be gone for the vacation.
And that's what everybody seems to take a lot of vacations in the higher ranks. The vacations don't stop.
Yeah.
Neither does crime. All right.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate it, Thurman.
No problem.